The night felt wrong from the moment Emma stepped inside the house, as if the walls were holding their breath. A faint sound echoed behind her, too soft to name yet too sharp to ignore. She reached for the light switch, but the room stayed dark, swallowing her in a heavy silence. Her phone buzzed with a single message from an unknown number, warning her not to trust anyone. A shadow moved at the end of the hallway, disappearing before she could blink. Her heartbeat climbed fast, matching the cold tension spreading across the floor. And in that moment, Emma realized someone knew her secret before she ever dared to speak it. Emma froze in the doorway, unsure if the fear came from the house or from herself. She could feel something watching her, patient and silent like a breath held too long. The air smelled faintly of cold rain, even though the windows were shut tight. She stepped forward slowly, each footstep echoing louder than it should in the empty hall. A picture frame lay on the floor, its glass cracked as if someone had stomped on it. She bent down to pick it up, but her hand trembled before she touched the frame. The photo inside showed her family smiling, yet someone had scratched out her face. Her mind raced for explanations, but nothing reasonable made sense in the moment. She slipped the frame into a drawer, hoping the darkness would hide her unease. Her phone vibrated again, but she hesitated before checking the message this time. The text warned her not to return to the basement under any circumstances. Emma stared at the screen, wondering how the stranger knew her home so well. She turned toward the kitchen, trying to steady her breathing as she walked. The silence felt heavier here, thick enough to press against her skin. A half-finished cup of coffee sat on the table, still warm as if recently touched. She had been gone for hours, and no one else had a key to the house. She checked the back door, but the lock remained untouched and secure. A chill traveled up her spine as she imagined someone standing here minutes earlier. She pulled open the drawer, where she kept a small flashlight for emergencies. The beam flickered weakly, yet it offered more comfort than the overhead lights. She moved toward the living room, sweeping the light across the furniture slowly. A cushion had been flipped over, revealing deep scratches on the fabric. They looked too deliberate to be accidental, almost like a message carved in cloth. Emma swallowed hard, her heartbeat pounding so loudly she could hear it in her ears. She whispered her own name, unsure why she needed to hear her voice right now. The sound wavered in the stillness, swallowed instantly by something unseen. She checked the windows, searching for footprints or smudges that might explain the chaos. Each pane looked clean, untouched, and untouched felt more terrifying than broken. A sudden thud echoed from upstairs, as if something heavy had fallen. Emma gripped the flashlight tighter, forcing herself to move toward the staircase. The steps creaked softly under her weight, warning the house of her approach. Halfway up, she noticed the faint smell of smoke drifting down from the second floor. It wasn't strong enough to suggest danger, but strong enough to demand attention. She reached the top step and paused, listening for any hint of movement. Another thud sounded from her bedroom, followed by a low, dragging noise. Her breath hitched as she pictured someone rifling through her belongings in the dark. She stepped forward anyway, unable to run even though every instinct told her to. A cold draft slipped from beneath her bedroom door, chilling her ankles sharply. She pushed the door open with the tip of the flashlight, praying for nothing inside. The room looked normal at first glance, but the closet door stood wide open. Clothes lay scattered across the floor, tossed as if someone searched for something specific. Emma stepped inside, scanning every corner for signs of an intruder. On her pillow sat a folded piece of paper, placed with unsettling care. She opened it slowly, terrified of what she might read inside. Only 4 words were written, each letter sharp and deliberate. "I know your truth." Emma stared at the message until the ink blurred, her breath trembling in the cold air. She folded the paper carefully, as if roughness might trigger something worse. Her hands shook despite her effort to stay calm, betraying every fear she tried to hide. She glanced toward the open closet, certain it held more than scattered clothes. The flashlight flickered when she pointed it inside, dimming at the worst moment. She stepped back quickly, her heel hitting the edge of the bed. A soft creak responded from the hallway, too light for falling objects. Someone had moved, slow and deliberate, as if waiting for her reaction. Emma backed toward the window, needing distance from the door. Her phone buzzed again, vibrating loud in the tense silence around her. The new message said she had only minutes before everything changed. Emma's pulse raced, pounding like a warning drum against her ribs. She typed a quick reply asking who they were, but the message failed to send. No signal, even though moments earlier her phone had worked perfectly. She hurried to the doorway, pressing her back against the cold wall. A faint whisper drifted from downstairs, too low to decipher but clear enough to fear. She held the flashlight in front of her, like a flimsy shield against the dark. With each step down the hallway, she imagined hands reaching from the shadows. Her breathing became shallow, loud enough that she feared it would give her away. She reached the top of the stairs and listened again. Nothing but silence so dense it felt like the house was waiting for her. Emma moved down one step, then another, forcing her legs to obey. Halfway down, the whisper returned, this time forming her name softly. She froze as the sound curled around her like cold fingers brushing her neck. She wanted to scream but swallowed it, afraid of what might answer back. When she reached the bottom step, the living room lights flickered on suddenly. The brightness stung her eyes, but she kept moving forward cautiously. On the coffee table lay another note, placed where she couldn't overlook it. The paper was crisp, edges straight as if newly cut. She picked it up slowly, her stomach tightening with dread. This one read, "You left something behind." Emma frowned, trying to recall anything she might have forgotten. Her mind sifted through old memories she had buried years ago. A past she never discussed, not even with the people she trusted most. She heard movement in the kitchen, a soft rustle like fabric brushing tile. The fear twisted deeper, dragging memories she wanted to keep hidden. She stepped toward the sound, her flashlight trembling in her grip. The kitchen light flicked on before she touched the switch. On the counter sat a small wooden box she hadn't seen in years. Her breath caught as she approached it slowly, feeling old panic rise. The box had belonged to her father, locked since the day he vanished. She reached out and touched the lid, feeling the cold metal clasp click open. Inside lay a single photograph of her as a child, standing beside someone unfamiliar. His face was blurred, scratched out with the same angry lines she saw earlier. Under the photo sat a house key she had never seen before. Emma held it tightly, sensing the key was meant to lead her somewhere. A final whisper drifted behind her, closer than before. Time to remember. Emma clutched the small key, her fingers white from pressure. She felt the weight of its meaning, more than its metal cold. The whisper followed her down the hallway, almost playful, almost cruel. She paused at the front door, debating whether to leave or follow the clue. Outside, the night was thick and still, hiding any promise of safety. Her instincts screamed to run, but curiosity anchored her in place. She inserted the key into the lock of a drawer she'd never opened before. The metal clicked, cold and final, as if acknowledging her fear. Inside lay a folded map, edges worn and stained with old ink. It showed streets she recognized, but one path led into the forest. Emma's heart tightened, the unknown path calling her forward. She rolled the map carefully, tucking it into her jacket pocket. A gust of wind rattled the windows, shaking her nerves further. Her phone buzzed again, the new message. "Follow the path, secrets await." She swallowed, trying to ignore the tremor in her chest. Step by step, she moved toward the car parked in the driveway. The engine roared to life with a single turn, as if it had been waiting. She drove through empty streets, headlights cutting through the foggy night. The forest loomed ahead, dark and silent, swallowing light and sound. She parked at the edge, glancing back at the faint glow of her house. Something inside told her there would be no turning back tonight. She took the map and flashlight, stepping onto the narrow dirt path. The air smelled damp, earthy, carrying whispers she could almost hear. Branches scratched at her jacket, as if warning her of the path ahead. Her heart raced faster with each step deeper into the forest. The flashlight caught strange shapes, shadows dancing along tree trunks. She stumbled slightly, catching herself on a root protruding from the ground. The map guided her, though the path was overgrown and almost hidden. A rustling sound came from the bushes, sharp and deliberate. Emma froze, scanning the darkness for any movement. Nothing appeared, but the feeling of being watched remained intense. She pressed forward, listening to the crunch of leaves beneath her feet. Then she heard a low voice whisper, unmistakable, "You're close now." Her breath caught, pulse hammering, yet she followed anyway. The path opened into a small clearing, barely lit by moonlight. In the center stood an abandoned cabin, weathered and ominous. Its door hung slightly open, revealing a dark interior waiting for her. Emma's hand trembled as she reached for the doorknob. The metal was cold, chilling her palm instantly. She pushed the door slowly. It creaked loudly, echoing through the clearing. Inside, dust covered the furniture, yet one chair faced the center. On the chair sat an old journal, its leather cracked and worn. The air inside smelled faintly of smoke and something metallic. Emma stepped closer, her flashlight illuminating the journal's cover. A sense of familiarity hit her, the handwriting unmistakable even in dim light. She opened it carefully, pages brittle beneath her fingers. The first entry read her name, written in a hand she didn't recognize. The second page revealed a secret she had buried long before tonight. She realized that everything leading her here had been waiting for her all along. The forest seemed to close in, silent but alive, as if aware of her discovery. Emma sat on the floor, journal in hand, understanding her past had caught up with her. Emma's hands shook as she turned the fragile pages, the journal revealing more than she expected. The entries spoke of lies, betrayal, and secrets buried deeper than memory itself. She read about a hidden connection between her family and someone unknown. Each line made her pulse race, her mind struggling to connect the dots. The handwriting shifted, sometimes familiar, sometimes alien, like multiple voices speaking. A page fell to the floor, showing a crude sketch of the cabin she stood in. Numbers and dates were scribbled beside the sketch, pointing to a long-forgotten event. Emma's eyes widened as she recognized one date. It was her father's disappearance. The journal described a pact, something she had no memory of making or witnessing. It hinted at choices made on her behalf, choices that had trapped her life in secrecy. A sudden noise outside made her jump, the cabin groaning as if alive. She clutched the journal tighter, heart hammering in her chest. A shadow crossed the doorway, fleeting, but distinct enough to see. Emma whispered, "Who's there?" But the only answer was silence. The flashlight flickered, leaving her in near darkness for a heartbeat too long. She steadied her hand and continued reading, determined to uncover the truth. The next entry mentioned a key, one she now held, tied to a place called Ravenwood. Her mind raced. Ravenwood was the old estate her father had once warned her about. The journal claimed it held the answers to everything she had feared and ignored. Emma realized the messages, the notes, the path, it had all led her here. A floorboard creaked behind her, soft but deliberate, breaking her concentration. She spun, flashlight cutting through the shadows, seeing nothing but dark corners. Her breathing grew faster, but curiosity kept her rooted in the center of the room. The journal described a hidden room within the cabin, accessible through a false wall. Emma traced the edges of the walls, feeling for any irregularity in the wood. Her fingers found a seam near the back, and she pushed gently. The wall shifted, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling downward. A cold draft rushed up from below, carrying a faint metallic scent. Emma took a deep breath and stepped onto the staircase, descending slowly. The walls felt damp, claustrophobic, pressing in as if warning her to turn back. At the bottom, the staircase opened into a small chamber lined with shelves. Strange artifacts and old documents filled the space, each seeming to hum with energy. In the center, a chest sat atop a stone pedestal, carved with unfamiliar symbols. Emma approached, hesitant, but her curiosity outweighed her fear. The journal had hinted this chest held what she had been seeking all her life. Her hand trembled as she lifted the lid, revealing stacks of letters and old photographs. Among them, a single envelope marked with her name drew her attention. Inside was a letter in her father's handwriting, addressed directly to her. He confessed to mistakes, choices made under pressure, and warnings she had ignored. Emma realized the truth was both horrifying and liberating at the same time. Every event that had terrified her tonight was connected to this chamber. She folded the letter carefully, understanding the responsibility it carried. The shadows seemed to retreat slightly, as if acknowledging her discovery. Emma rose slowly, clutching the journal and letter, ready to face whatever came next. Emma stepped back from the chest, her mind racing with the revelations she had uncovered. The chamber felt heavier now, as if the walls themselves weighed down with secrets. She held the journal and letter tightly, knowing they were the key to understanding everything. A faint noise echoed from above, like footsteps moving slowly across the floorboards. Her heart jumped, but she forced herself to focus on what mattered most right now. She climbed the narrow staircase carefully, each step creaking under her weight. Reaching the main room, the cabin seemed quieter, almost waiting for her next move. The shadows shifted slightly, teasing her peripheral vision as she walked toward the door. Outside, the forest stretched endlessly, dark and silent as if holding its breath. Emma took a deep breath, gripping the journal like a shield against the unknown. She needed to find Ravenwood, the place her father had warned her about in the letter. The map she carried pointed toward an old estate deep within the forest. Every instinct screamed danger, yet the pull of the unknown drove her forward. Branches scraped against her jacket as she pushed through thick undergrowth. The moonlight barely penetrated the canopy, leaving her path uncertain and eerie. She paused to catch her breath, listening to the stillness that surrounded her. A distant howl broke the silence, sending a shiver racing down her spine. Emma forced herself to keep moving, guided by the map and a growing determination. Hours seemed to pass as she trudged through mud and twisted roots. Then, through the dense trees, she saw it, Ravenwood, crumbling and imposing. The estate loomed ahead, its windows dark, yet its presence felt alive. Emma approached cautiously, nodding the wrought iron gates slightly ajar. She pushed them open, the hinges groaning like a warning to turn back. The gravel crunched beneath her feet as she walked up the long, overgrown path. Every step made her feel closer to answers and closer to danger. She reached the front door, which hung slightly off its hinges, weathered and old. Inside, dust covered every surface, yet the air smelled faintly of her father's study. Emma followed the hall, the journal whispering memories she had never known. Rooms were empty, yet each held a ghost of the past, echoes of forgotten voices. In the library, she found a desk with a single drawer partially open. Inside lay more letters, tied with a ribbon her father had always used. The first letter warned her of someone watching, someone waiting for her to act. The second contained instructions, maps, and warnings about the estate's hidden dangers. Emma realized the secrets of her family were entwined with the very walls of Ravenwood. A sudden noise upstairs made her freeze, footsteps deliberate and measured. She gripped the journal, flashlight in hand, ready for whatever or whoever approached. From the shadows, a figure emerged, their face partially hidden in darkness. The voice was familiar, yet not entirely, whispering her name with a chilling familiarity. Emma's breath hitched, her mind racing through memories, letters, and warnings. The figure stepped closer, revealing intentions Emma could only guess at. Every secret she had uncovered tonight led to this confrontation. She realized she could no longer run, Answers and danger were intertwined here. Emma tightened her grip on the journal, preparing herself for the truth to finally emerge. The room seemed to close in, the air thick with tension and unspoken threats. Her pulse surged, knowing that everything she had feared and sought was finally in front of her. The figure stepped fully into the light, revealing a face Emma recognized from the journal. It was her father's former partner, someone she had never met, yet felt familiar. His eyes held a mixture of regret and warning, sharp as the blade of a knife. He spoke softly, each word deliberate, echoing through the empty library. "You weren't supposed to find this place yet," he said, voice low but firm. Emma's grip tightened on the journal, her knuckles white with tension. She asked why he was here and what he wanted from her now. He stepped closer, hands raised slightly as if to calm her fear. "The secrets you've uncovered, they belong to a past that isn't entirely yours," he explained. Emma felt her chest tighten, trying to reconcile everything she had learned tonight. He revealed a key, one she hadn't seen before, and handed it to her. "This opens the final room in Ravenwood," he said, voice almost a whisper. Emma took it cautiously, sensing the weight of its significance immediately. He warned her of traps and dangers, things designed to protect the estate's secrets. The journal's pages fluttered in her hand, as if urging her forward. She followed him through the hallways, each step echoing with unspoken tension. At the end of the corridor, a hidden door appeared, carved into the wall. Emma inserted the key and turned it slowly, the lock clicking with a hollow sound. The door swung open, revealing a chamber bathed in dim, golden light. Inside were artifacts, documents, and objects that spoke of generations of hidden truths. Her father's handwriting appeared on some, instructing, warning, and guiding her. Emma realized she had stumbled upon the final piece of a lifelong puzzle. The figure stepped back, allowing her to explore, yet his presence reminded her to be careful. She moved carefully, examining each artifact and letter, piecing the story together. A large painting caught her eye, depicting her father and several unknown figures. Names and dates were inscribed at the bottom, connecting threads she hadn't understood. Emma's mind raced, understanding the depth of lies, betrayal, and hidden alliances. She reached for a small box on a pedestal, feeling a strange warmth radiating from it. Inside were documents proving a conspiracy that had shaped her family's fate. The figure explained how her father had tried to protect her and the dangers he faced. Emma's hands shook as she read, realizing the choices she now had to make. Outside, the wind howled through the estate, carrying a sense of urgency and change. The journal's final pages guided her to a hidden compartment in the chamber floor. Inside, she found personal letters addressed to her, revealing her father's true intentions. He had left instructions to protect her, but also to prepare her for the inevitable confrontation. Emma looked at the figure, understanding that trust was fragile but necessary now. He nodded, silently confirming she had the strength to face what came next. The chamber felt alive, as if acknowledging her courage and determination. She gathered the letters, journal, and key, ready to confront the past fully. Emma knew this moment would define her future, her family, and the truth itself. Every step she had taken tonight had led her here, to knowledge and responsibility. The figure stepped aside, letting her leave the chamber, a silent guardian of secrets. Emma took a deep breath, stepping into the hall, prepared for what she must now face. Her journey through Ravenwood had revealed everything, and nothing would ever be the same. Emma stepped out of the chamber, the weight of the secrets pressing on her shoulders. The estate was silent now, yet she felt its presence watching her every move. The journal, letters, and key were clutched tightly, her only link to the past. She walked through the empty halls, each step echoing with finality. Outside, the forest seemed calmer, as if acknowledging her courage tonight. The figure watched from the shadows, nodding silently, then disappeared. Emma realized the responsibility she carried was greater than fear or doubt. She had the power to uncover truth or protect it, and the choice was hers. The wind rustled the trees, carrying whispers of lives long hidden in darkness. She looked back at Ravenwood, knowing she would return but on her own terms. Each secret she uncovered had changed her, shaping her into someone stronger. Her heart steadied, pulse slowing, as clarity replaced panic and confusion. Emma stepped onto the path leading home, the forest behind her alive with memories. The night held its breath, yet she felt ready for whatever lay ahead. She whispered a final goodbye to the estate, to the past, and to the mysteries. Her journey was far from over, but she had claimed control of her own story. With the letters and journal as guides, she would face the future without fear. Emma walked into the darkness, determined, brave, and finally free.